think when you pair the ductwork inside with a better envelope, better air sealing, better insulating, the combination is so good. It's almost hard to make the houses uncomfortable. Your losses become less, the drafts become less. You can really manipulate where the heat runs are in the room. Therefore, getting around dressers and getting around different appliances, and you can make the houses very, very comfortable. It depends a lot on the builder's desire to adopt the program and adopt the philosophies behind it. If they're really determined to get everybody together, from the planners, the architects, in some cases the homeowners, and the other subcontractors, the plumbers, the electricians, if they can get the group together and come up with a plan, it can be pretty painless, pretty simple. If there's resistance to it, it can be a struggle to overcome some of the resistance. We typically see about a half a ton to 1 ton air conditioning load reduction. We see a 20,000 to 40,000 BTU heating requirement reduction. And if it's a heat pump house, we see a reduction on the balance point. It gets us to be in the low 30s very easily with smaller equipment, which helps the airflow, helps the noise. The smaller the equipment, the better. So we see a pretty significant reduction when the ductwork's brought inside. Probably the biggest complaint we have is misunderstanding. The customer lived in a similar size home to the home they're moving in with ductwork inside. It had a much larger furnace. They move in the summertime, the perception is, well, I had an 80,000 BTU furnace, now I have a 40. Square footage is the same, the 40 is not going to heat. So we get the call to come out and kind of reassure them it's going to work just fine. Same thing with air conditioning. Well, I had a 4 ton, now I have a 2.5 ton. How is the 2.5 ton going to work on a hot day? It has kind of the biggest formal complaints with us are private label home inspectors. They come out and they see, okay, well, it's 2,500 square feet, you should have an 80,000 BTU furnace. And they don't have the manual J calculations, they don't understand the insulating and the air sealing. That's just the rule of thumb their company uses. Some consumers have an issue with furnaces being inside the space. Again, mostly education issues, concern of, oh, is it gonna, create any, carbon dioxide issues? Are there gonna be any problems with it? No, it pulls its combustion from outside. So once you educate and go through it, it definitely makes it better, but perception at first actually are our biggest complaints on these type of systems, not performance. With exception to most of the rules we talk about with floor joists, the bigger is better. It gives the plumber more room, the electrician more room, can lights fit better, the ducting fits better in the bigger joists. It's harder to accommodate in the smaller open web systems. It typically leads to some softening. Or if you use the bigger ones, we can usually get away from doing a majority of the soffit work we're used to. The sharp connectors are definitely a problem. Most manufacturers say you cannot modify them, which taking a hammer and flatten them over is modifying. So what we do is we either put a couple layers of tape over them, or we try to run insulated flex over a portion that looks dangerous, for lack of a better term, to try to keep the integrity of the duct there through the duration of the house. Potentially, yeah. You're working in a better environment, which is good for the crews out on site. It's typically dry. The mastic sealing is water soluble, so it's better to be in a dry environment. If it rains on it, it can lose its effectiveness. The other cost savings is it can reduce trips to the job. It's opened new markets that we weren't in before. We did the first LEED Platinum certified house in Portland, and ever since then there's been more drive, more interest from different builders, and so it's been an advantage for us to, for one, have long-term experience doing it. And so when somebody comes in that's new to our fold and says, hey, I'm interested in this, we can help guide them through the process.